Hello there, I'm Aurora, owner and CEO of Mystical Travels. Join me today as we discover what the Kennedy Space Center has to offer and answer the main question, is it even worth it? So grab a coffee, get settled, and let's go on this magical adventure. The Kennedy Space Center, located near Cape Canaveral, is one of 10 of NASA's field centers and is home to a multi-user spaceport as well as a visitors complex that anyone can visit. It's about an hour from Universal Orlando Resort, about an hour and 15 minutes or so from Walt Disney World, and about 23 minutes from Port Canaveral, where a lot of cruise ships end up sailing from. But the main question is it even worth visiting and adding to your trip? And the simple answer is yeah, it is. Kennedy Space Center tends to tell you that it takes about 2 days to visit the whole complex and really get your money's worth out of it. And I'm one of those people that visits a museum and I definitely look, I read some things, but I'm not going to take 5 hours in one room, and I am not just flying by and barely paying attention. I'm kind of middle of the road. But I read that and it's like, there's no way I can do this in a whole day. Boy, was I wrong. I have so much things that I have missed that I didn't get to do. There's actual buildings I didn't get to enter because I just ran out of time. The Kennedy Space Center starts at 9 a.m. and ends at about 5 p.m. It's about $75 for adults and $65 for children if you're going for one day. But honestly, it is $89 for a 2-day ticket for adults and $79 for children. So for $14 more, you're going for 2 whole days. And they also mention that you can use your second day for up to 6 months out. So you don't have to go right then. You can go one day and then just be back within 6 months and use your second day. So it's totally worth it. Parking is not included in that admission. It is $15 to park. There are credit card only stations, and those weren't working well when I went. So a lot of the cars, including myself, ended up backing out and going through the main cashier that would take cash or credit card, and that took like no time. I did get there, I would say about 8:40, 8:45, so they opened at 9, but I wanted to make sure I got great parking. I got there right and early. They do not open until 9 for sure, and actually one thing I didn't know is that they always play the national anthem right at 9 a.m. They have, of course, a real flag, and then they have a visual of the American flag as well as the national anthem is playing. And then once that is over, security itself will open and let you in. They did also bring out a astronaut in a full astronaut suit to come and take pictures with people in front of the big NASA globe. So that's a fun little character meet and greet that you can do before the actual visitors complex open. So now let's go over exactly what your ticket to the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex will actually get you for that amount of money. So as you can see, we start out under the entrance that says Explore. And as you walk through, to your left is Heroes and Legends. And that is where they have a lot of things about different astronauts, about their childhood, about their careers as astronauts. There is a Wall Hall of Fame. And there is a replica of the Mercury Mission Control Room as well. Right next to it is the Rocket Garden. The Rocket Garden has some actual rockets that are real, and you can stand next to them, you can walk around, you can take lots of pictures. Right next to it is the Gateway. The Gateway is one of their new buildings, and it focuses on the future of space travel while highlighting our current present. So you're going to see the Orion capsule. You're going to see the SpaceX Falcon 9 Heavy booster and some spacesuits that we're currently using. And it's going to also talk about what we're going to do in the future to get us into space. I did not enter this building. It was just, I ran out of time. But I did do a tour, and the tour guide did mention that it was brand new and innovative and a lot of fun. So A lot of things for you to see in that building. Right next to it is the IMAX building with the Planet Play. I also did not enter that. The IMAX shows a lot of movies throughout the day, and Planet Play is great for children, and there's a little lounge area for parents to be able to get like a snack or a drink, whether that be non-alcoholic or alcoholic, while their children play. So the tour guide did mention that the activities for children were very fun and all space themed. So definitely a great area if you want to let some energy out for your children, or if it's raining outside and you need to go in and they just want to play for a bit while you relax and you can sit down. The next main building is the Atlantis building. It's also called Shuttle, a ship like no other. So it's really going over the space shuttle Atlantis, which is one of 3 actual shuttles that have been flown into space. One thing for you to know is they kind of route you through a certain entrance, and you will have to see a visual presentation that they do at the beginning. So there's going to be a little line as they're getting a group of people into the area, show the film, let them out, and then let another group in. That is the way to do the actual center, so just think about that. You can't just walk in and just start looking around. The visual was actually really cool. My favorite part was at the end, and I didn't take a video of it, but I did take a picture just like in that blink second. They're talking about the space shuttle and everything that it did. And then the actual background is like the stars, and it kind of glows out and you can see the space shuttle Atlantis, the actual one, in the background with the stars in the front before they open the door and let you through. And then you can actually see the space shuttle Atlantis. It's tilted on its side and you can see it like it was in space, like a lot of astronauts ended up being able to see it. And it does have an opening so you can see inside, as well as one of the cranes that they used for a lot of their things. There are a lot of other areas. There is a slide that simulates what it feels like to actually land when they do the space landing. So it kind of gives you that same feeling. You do have to take off your shoes for that. I didn't do it this time because I was on a tour, so it kind of went really, really fast and I couldn't stop. But I'm definitely doing it next time, so I'm really excited for that. There is a simulated space launch that you can do. That all of that is included in your basic valid admission to Kennedy Space Center, by the way. The space launch is, if you've ever done mission space at Epcot, it's similar but also not similar. And the reason I say that is it's similar because it does shake you. It actually shakes you a lot more than Mission Space does at Epcot. It's a lot more intense in that area, but it also does not make you sick to your stomach because it's not over here spinning really, really fast trying to do the G-force. Also, you're not in a little area that's very claustrophobic. You're literally sitting in seat with a seat belt. You do have some handles if you want near your head, but honestly, you don't have to have them. And it just goes through the whole process of simulating a space launch into space. It's very cool. Think of the seating area to be very similar. If you ever did Star Tours at any of the Disney parks, it's basically like the same kind of sitting. You're, walking through rows and you sit down and you do your ride. It takes, I would say, maybe about 10-15 minutes, like for the whole thing to go through. So think about that, but it is free. There's also a hall that is remembering all the astronauts that we have lost in the program, and a lot of other areas, including the van that they take to take the astronauts from where they're staging area and they're getting ready to the actual shuttle launch area. All of that can be viewed through the Atlantis area, so definitely check that out. Now, there is a loop with a lot of buses, and those buses will take you out to the Saturn V Apollo Center, which is also called the Race to the Moon. So that is also included in your ticket, so you're free to go. And the buses run about every 15 minutes, and they do say it takes about 20 minutes to get there, but you're actually going by the vehicle assembly building, So that's really cool to see, and your bus driver will have like a little video playing, and it's going to tell you about all the different things that you're seeing, because obviously this is an active area where they're actually doing things to actually go into space. So it gives you a little background. Again, very much like the Atlanta Center, when you arrive to the Saturn V, you will have to wait and go into a little area to view a video. So if you happen to have your bus arrive right as they let somebody in and they close the door, you're going to have to wait a little bit as the video is playing. The video is going over the Apollo 8 launch that they did, so the whole area looks just like the building as they were launching, and you have all the screens and they have the countdown, and then they're showing you the televised version of it actually going into space. So that was really cool, but you gotta wait for all that to happen. And then you can go in and you can actually see the actual Saturn V rocket. There's a lot of other stuff. I did parts of that, but I also didn't get to do that whole building as much as I would like to. So I'm definitely going to have to go back and check it out. There's a lot of things about like the moon rovers, and then actually landing on the moon with Apollo 11 and all that. Then going back to the main complex area, there is an area called Chat with an Astronaut and Training Experiences of Astronaut. Those are not included in your valid base tickets. Those are add-ons. There's about 9 different dining areas. Now that does include like your typical Starbucks or ice cream shops. But you do have a lot of different restaurants. My tour that I did, which was Fly with an Astronaut, it came with the ticket to actually have regular admission, and then I had a tour guide and an actual astronaut that also was the tour guide, and we did a whole tour around the complex. We got to see the SpaceX rocket. They just happened to be already on site for the launch, and they let the buses through. They don't always let the buses through. That was one thing that the tour guide mentioned. They were a little shocked that we were allowed to see it. It also had food included, so I did not eat at any of the other dining at that time. You are welcome to add more tours as well, so you can basically do the same tour that I did when it's going over to the launch pads, and then where you can see where the automatic cameras take the footage when there is a launch. So you can do all that. You can buy your ticket and buy for that tour as well. On top of that, you don't have to get the Fly with the Astronaut experience to see that tour. I kind of liked the Fly with the Astronaut tour because you were going through a lot of these buildings and hearing experiences firsthand and hearing a lot of stories. There are 3 different space shops to go to, and actually I'm wearing one of my shirts here. It was a unisex small. I don't think it's a unisex small. It feels like an extra large. I actually have it pinned in the back because it's so big. I need to cut it in. So just think about that. The sizes may not exactly be correct. The Kennedy Space Center also has special events. So on top of their Chat with an Astronaut, which you can pay a little extra and you'll be able to probably have lunch and do a Q&A, they also have a nighttime event that they're doing on February 7th in 2025. So a lot of different special events or add-ons that you can do. But honestly, just the base ticket there's a lot to do. So I highly recommend checking it out. One thing to remember, and I did notice this, is that there are a lot of cruisers that will end up getting off of their cruise around 7:30, 8 o'clock. They get over to the Kennedy Space Center and they're able to get in. And what I noticed was security would actually store their luggage. So you didn't have to worry about like, oh, I need a car because I need to leave it in a car. You could just Uber or get a bus or something like that. Go over there, explore the Kennedy Space Center, pick up your luggage from security, and then go back. You can go to Orlando, you can go to the beach, you can check into your Airbnb, whatever you're doing after your cruise. So I did my visit before a cruise. I happened to be in the area the weekend prior. My cruise left on a Monday. So I just went on Sunday and I did the Kennedy Space Center. But don't hesitate to be like, hey, maybe I can do this, before I have like a night flight, and I can stop by the Kennedy Space Center, visit it. It closes at 5. Then I can make my way over to the airport. I have a flight leaving at 10 p.m. This will work. So, do I think it's worth it? And the answer is absolutely yes. You get your money's worth for everything that you get to see and do. And it's not far from a lot of things. So like I said, it's 23 minutes from Port Canaveral. It's about an hour from Universal Studios Orlando, about an hour and 15 minutes from the start of the Walt Disney Complex. It's about 45 minutes from the Orlando Airport MCO. So it's very easy to squeeze in and be able to do and see a lot of our space travel history and our future, and see the actual shuttle that took us into space, the actual rocket, the Saturn V, things like that you just can't see anywhere. And there's the actual launch pad they're launching from. They will be going with the Artemis space program that's happening right there and then. So you can see so much. So coming up, I'm thinking we're going to be doing a Universal Orlando Resort video. It's going to be about holidays at Universal because they have a whole program. And then we'll probably release a holidays at Walt Disney World as well. And I'll try to get that out right before Christmas, just in time for the holidays. So if you're interested, don't forget to follow me, like, and subscribe. And we'll go on our next magical adventure together.